It's Live Bold and Boss Up time, and Steph and I are live at the Mahaffey Theater for the Tampa Bay Tech PoweredUp Tech Fest for this amazing series this week on innovation and technology. And right now we are meeting fresh, hot off the stage, Tim Moore from View Technologies and Adam Burden from Accenture. And we really dive into why innovation is important, but from the creative side. These guys are so creative. It's fun to dig into that part.
What you guys chatted about on stage, because you talked about innovation, but in what capacity?
Well, a lot of what I was talking about was innovation as a necessity. I had a business that was disrupted by COVID, and really having to learn how to do business a different way. And that kind of turned into an opportunity that turned into innovation as a strategy, being able to scale something that could solve a lot of problems. And I think that's where intersects a lot with what Adams does, because that's your whole business.
That's my whole business, is solving client problems and challenges. And, typically they've already tried what's been, they thought would work. And they're looking for a very different answer about how they can actually achieve something in a different way, faster or better or cheaper as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you step back from that, like our mission in this discussion was really about like, what is the purpose of innovation? We have all these amazing ideas around us, but that's creativity. Creativity is coming up with new things or different dreams that you might have. Innovation's about doing stuff. And Tim and my other panelists, they're doers. So what's their secret sauce to make that work? And the idea was to share that with the audience. How do they create an innovation culture in their own environments, and share that with the group to do better?
Mm-hmm.
But we also, at the end, we spoke a little bit about what makes Tampa Bay a great place to innovate.
Oh, I love that. Really quick, just because I want our listeners to understand your background and your companies. Tim and Adam, tell us a little bit about your company, and then I would love to hear about innovation in Tampa Bay. But
Sure.
I want to have a background of
Yeah.
you first.
So my name is Tim Moore. I'm the CEO of View. Been in the Tampa Bay community for 20 years. Started and grew a video agency called Diamond View. And during COVID, we used to travel around the world shooting commercials. When we couldn't travel anymore, we found a way to do that by shooting on large LED walls. And that technique is called virtual production.
Which
So-
is amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
I saw
it's
it in action.
Fun way to do it,
Yeah.
because it's like you can travel to the moon and back in the same day and be done by 5 o'clock.
So
Keep
cool.
the sun
Be
up
home
in the
for
sky.
dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. We've built 4 studios that we own and operate, and 28 other studios around the world for partners. So
Awesome.
Which is amazing. That's you've come a long way from when we originally had you on the podcast, right? We were talking about the creativity and the idea, right? And how it started. So it's wonderful to have you back.
Yeah,
to
it's
hear
good to be here.
what you've been doing since then,
Been
It's
busy.
amazing.
32 studios in 32 months.
That's
So not a lot of
amazing.
time.
Yeah.
Slow down.
All right. So, hi, I'm Adam Burden. I've been in the Tampa Bay area for 32 years now. And I've been with Accenture that entire time. I'm the global innovation lead for our company. We have 745,000 employees around the world, serving clients in, I guess it's over 100 countries at this point. And our job is simply to help our clients invent tomorrow. And my job is to help create those conditions that make it possible for all of our employees to be creative and innovative in the way they deliver work every day.
Wow. Very cool. All right. So I know I mentioned, or you mentioned, technology or innovation in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much here already. Tell us about that. Like, obviously you both are here, you're seeing it, you're building it. What else are you seeing? And
Well, I think anyone who comes to town, they realize that Tampa Bay is disproportionately more entrepreneurial than other cities. You can feel it. There's a lot of startups in this community. And now with technology the way it is, we've really democratized technology that everyone has the same tools. I was saying on stage today that the richest people in the world use the same cell phones as the average person. The biggest businesses use the same laptops as the average college kid. And so that digital divide has gotten so small that it's not so much about the technology anymore. It's about the passion behind people finding and problem solving at scale. And so like this is a community that does that. And I think that's the special ingredient is when you're passionate about making tomorrow a little bit better than it was today. That's when really great innovations happen.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
I agree. I've been here for a long time, 32 years, and I've stayed here because of that culture and environment and the supporting, ecosystem that exists around here. Tampa Bay is a remarkable place for innovation. Could we do more? Could we attract more investment into the region? Could we do more to advertise it, as this innovation nexus? I think we could. And that'll happen over time, and it'll only grow. And as Tim also shared out there, we should just double down on the things that we're currently doing, because Tampa Bay is a great center of innovation now, and we can do even more in the future.
Absolutely. How do you spark creativity in like new hires or whenever you're looking to bring people on?
We look for that as a screening tool. In the video world, I was always it was never about what film school do they go to or how much they learn in academia. It was always about are they shooting on the weekends? Because someone who makes vacation videos and the highlight reels of what their kids are doing, that's someone who's in love with the craft. They're passionate about it, and I think that passion has this funny way of beating logic. Where it's like if you're really into something, you're gonna pour your heart into it. You're gonna be creative because you love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've kind of always screened for it. But I think the way that you get other people who may not be naturally as inclined to that is put them around people who are, because it's contagious. When you find people that are passionate and creative, you can't get around that group and not be that way. It's just exciting to be a part of that. So that's what I've experienced over the years.
Very true.
I think you can take people, can you teach them to be innovative and creative? I think that you can. One of the things that we try to impress upon people is that failure is success to a degree, and get them unafraid to experiment. If you maybe don't realize that your failure is needs to be redirected, then that's a different problem. But have the courage to try. And to experiment with different things. So many times, the first time we do something and it kind of works isn't the best answer. So keep trying, keep experimenting, and you will find more creative answers and better answers in the future. And I think that if you do that through storytelling and you tell people examples of where you've done this in business or solving a coding problem or creating a video production, you inspire them to apply that in the way that they're going to deliver services for their clients too.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier about, innovation is kind of people that are doers.
Yeah.
And how do you find that in employees or just people in general? Like how do you screen for a doer? How do you know that they're going to actually come in and do the work? Right, because they can talk a big game sometimes.
So to be clear, you're asking me to tell you what our selection criteria are.
I mean, I think people want to know.
Where do we find the doers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where are the doers? Listen, there are some things that you can really look at, and social science tells us, this. When we're looking at employees, we're or potential candidates for employees, we're looking for people like if it's an entry level job, for example, did they work while they were in school? What were the things that they accomplished? It's not just about the grades or what school that they did, but what have they done? What's their life CV, not just their college record.
I love that.
And that helps us identify the people that are the doers and are going to be successful, serving our clients. And I think Tim has similar sentiments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the doers, they leave evidence because they've done a lot.
Yeah.
You don't just become a doer overnight. You've practiced that over and over to the point that it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what's really cool about doers is you don't have to be the best one in the room to do something over and over and become good at it. It's naturally what happens is if you fail enough times, you can't really fail anymore. You end up just figuring it out. But you've done it wrong enough. So, but doers are dangerous because they don't stop. And so what I like is like in this transformational time, I found the media industry has changed so much. Back in the day, it was you look at the biggest companies, Kodak, the biggest film company in the world. when the digital transition happened, they said, no, it's always going to be film. And then digital cameras had a different idea, and they went down. Same thing with Blockbuster, the biggest video rental company in the world. Netflix had a different idea. And you even look at it with the Yellow Pages, pre-internet, it was the biggest directory in the world. And so I do really believe it doesn't matter how big you are, it's how big you think. And if you can think big and you can do a lot, those are the two ingredients that really can take you far.
Mm.
I'll add
Mhm.
one more to that, which is courage, right? You have
Yeah.
to have a lot of courage to reinvent yourself and your business, and to say we can do things differently. It's going to be a little expensive. It might be really painful, but we can actually change and be a better business in the future. And that courage element has to be there in addition to the areas you were talking
Well,
about.
that's your podcast. Be bold and be brave.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like
well,
you really have two choices. One is you wait for change to happen and you react to it, or you just assume change is going to happen and you be the one to make that happen.
right.
And so that idea that you have about reinventing as a habit to say like, hey, tomorrow the world's going to change. I'm going to be ahead of that and I'm going to be ready for it. And if the world doesn't change, I may be the one to change it.
Mhm.
And so I think those are ways to like always make sure that that courage is like taking you the extra mile.
Right. I think courage is a big one because you're going to have so many people that tell you no, like, that's a stupid idea, or like, how can you even think that?
Right.
But you got to have the courage to just keep going. Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally correct.
I like to like over time, you get the door slammed in your face enough times that you start to like the way that it feels. Or you're like, you know what? It's like I admit I am not who I profess I want to be now,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna keep trying till I am. And so that person may not acknowledge it. They're just like, oh, this guy's crazy. It's like, yeah, crazy enough to become, that thing I want to
Yes.
be.
Yeah.
I love that.
We even have this concept at Accenture called total enterprise reinvention, for organizations and companies that want to be very bold and look across their entire value chains, apply AI to it, apply the latest and disruptive technology and ideas to how they do things. And what they find is they don't just reinvent the processes that they do today. They create entirely new segments of businesses, maybe in adjacent industries or otherwise, that are new growth areas for their business. That total enterprise reinvention, I think, is something that's going to become much more popular because of the other area that we were discussing is the pace of technology change. It's just so fast. It's blinding almost. But it'll actually, the reality of it never being as slow again as it is today. Well, I better think about how I'm going to reinvent myself to keep up with that.
Right.
How do you plan for that? That's the thing. When you were saying that, like it used to be 10-year planning cycles and then 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think it was Nike that came out and said, hey, we're only gonna plan in 3 months.
Wow.
Because that's
Jeez.
the world that we operate in today. And that's crazy to think, but that sounds like
I
what you're
think that
talking
you have
about.
to build an agile organization who is able to adapt and embrace change like that. The static, hierarchies that we've had, of yesterday just don't serve us well anymore. You need flatter organizations with faster decision making and
Less
empowered
red
people.
tape.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The red tape bothers me so much. I don't understand that.
How does anyone get anything done?
Right.
10 approvals? It's like
Right.
it's already gone, but the
Yeah.
opportunity's already missed.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next? Like, what do you see in the next 30 days, like changing or with innovation?
Well, it's never going to stop. It's only going to compound. One thing we talked about is AI right now. Generative AI is a really big topic. I think it's popular because it's so transformative, but that's just one little sliver of AI. You have AGI, which is like full awareness and intelligence, but there's another one called symbolic AI, and that's the ability for intelligence to reason and understand, not just predictive and inference, but really when you're talking to it, it understands what you're communicating. And I think we're getting close to that. That's going to be an exciting turn for us. But for right now, a lot of what's happening today, like all transformations we've seen, the internet, a lot of what was happening with the metaverse a couple years ago, I think it's finding its use case. And that's where I see, at least for our business, to where can we apply this transformation in the most useful way that I get gains from it tomorrow. It's not just this far off vision, but it's helping me with my daily tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a ton I'm excited about. I talked about space in the actual session, but I'll tell you the technology that I think that actually could be even more transformative than AI is quantum computing.
Mm.
The ability to solve intractable problems, things like how do we solve for climate change? How do we do better weather forecasting for some of the events that sometimes we experience here in Tampa Bay and prepare better for those things? How do we create more managed risk pools for insurance companies? These problems. Classical computers can't do. You could give them millions of years to try and solve these problems, but because of superpositioning and other remarkable capabilities of quantum physics, when we put this into a quantum computer, we can actually find real answers to the problems that we've wondered about, whether we're trying to figure out like what's the origins and history of the universe, or just trying to do better weather forecasting so we know if it's going to be a sunny day tomorrow. Quantum computing is going to unlock some remarkable stuff, and I think that's something to really look forward to. A little further out than 30 days.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
I am too. Yeah. I want to hear more about the quantum computer.
We need more time for that.
I know.
But thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been great.
Thanks for having us.